I'm curious, your father asked you to write it and not him. So I'm curious about that. Was it a weird thing for him to ask you or for himself?
It actually came up as part of a beautiful conversation. I mean, obviously, in creating this, we've had lots of conversations, but they were sharing stories about how their friends are starting to go and the different things that families are doing. And one of their family friends, he knew he was dying, he had cancer. So they did a living tribute to him. So he got to hear all the beautiful things that were said about him. And then that's what kind of sparked my dad to say that. He was like, why wait until I'm dead? I
So
want to know the
trilogy isn't
beautiful.
just about like at a funeral. You could really, like you said, celebrate someone's life while they're still alive.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Welcome to the Digital Legacy Podcast, where we talk about death and dying in the digital age. If you ever asked, how do I protect myself and those I love if something unexpected happened to me? You're in the right place. I'm your host, Niki Weiss, and together we'll explore how to protect yourself in a world where both your physical and digital legacy leave a lasting impact. And welcome back to another episode of the Digital Legacy Podcast, where we talk about death and dying in the digital age. My guest today is Sasha Stricker. Did I pronounce it correctly?
Close enough. Stricker.
Stricker. And also, we're here because you have created a platform that is allowing people to memorialize their eulogy before they're gone. And so, welcome to the show, and please tell us how you got here today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on today, Nikki. Yes, I created Treulogy as a way to help grieving family members collect all of their memories and then turn them into a really heartfelt tribute to someone that you love. Years ago, when my father-in-law passed away, we were all thrown into the center of it, and I wasn't prepared. None of us were prepared. I don't think anyone is. But one of the things that we found really, really challenging was actually writing the eulogy. We didn't know what to say or and he was a colorful little character.
Oh, do
He
tell. You use that so descriptively, like, or cryptically. Like, what do you mean by colorful?
he had very strong opinions about things and the way that things should be done. So, yeah, we truly wanted to honor him for the person that he was and not sugarcoat any of that, but just bring words to honor who he truly was. So there was a lot of back and forth and wordplay, and the eulogy would go from one sister and then she'd add this part and back to me. And it was actually a beautiful process of exploring it, but with the pressure of having to write, because I'm not a speechwriter, and none of them were speechwriters either. So it wasn't just collecting the memories, it was trying to figure out how to write them into nice words.
Well, I love the name of your company, Treulogy, which is a play on eulogy, but like with the true in there, right? The true essence of somebody when they've passed away, because that's really when someone does a eulogy, they are making this public announcement or acknowledgement of the person's life that a life lived. And you use the word colorful, and some people's lives, you want to honor them at the end, but sometimes sprinkling too much truth might bring out too much. So how did you take this colorful character and then be able to honor them in a way that people can remember them by?
Well, that's another great question, Nikki. And I think the secret is actually in the questions. And I took a lot of time curating the questions for Treulogy to go through every aspect of their life and their history. So if you don't mind, I highlighted some of the questions that I thought I would like to share because
And I
I
just want,
think.
and just to understand, right? So the idea is to come onto your site and that the person would actually go through this list of questions in order to create the eulogy. Is that right?
Exactly. Yes. Sorry. I guess I should backtrack to that. So yes, it's a guided app. So you log on and you're taken through a series of questions. So there's kind of some core questions that you can go through first. So that's kind of the fast track. But if you also want to take more time and get into more of the details, or maybe if some of the core questions just don't fit for that person, then you can drill down and do different segments as well too. Yeah.
Awesome. No, please share some of the questions with us because I think
Yeah.
you
So,
have thousands, hundreds. How many
oh
questions?
no, a couple of hundred questions,
Okay.
but don't let that intimidate anyone. It's you don't have to answer them all. In fact, I don't recommend you answer them all. I just say answer the ones that come easily, because there will be some that you just know off the top of your head. Those are the ones that are their true essence, and those ones are the stories that make the best eulogies. So things like, what would they want to be remembered for? I think we stop and think about what we want to be, how we remember them, but maybe not necessarily what was important to them and how they wanted to be remembered. How they presented themselves to the world, the story of how they got their nickname, topics that would light them up and keep them talking for hours. So those are the things that you wouldn't even necessarily think about, but those are the true essence, I think, of the person. Because those
So
little conversations, when they get that sparkle in their eye, and then they're like, the story's coming, and you know what's coming next.
remember when?
Exactly. The old fishing stories, or there's actually a eulogy on the website that a friend of mine wrote. All of the eulogies on the website we use alias names, so I'm not sharing any personal stories, but Edward's eulogy on the website is really beautiful. There's a really beautiful story about how involved he was in the community, and a moment where he ended up with barbecue sauce all over the front of him, but instead of getting angry, he just took it in stride.
And so those are the memories that people bring about in building out their eulogy. Now, have you written your eulogy?
Not yet, but I plan to, because it's actually I think it's a beautiful way for self-discovery. But my dad, who is still alive, actually just asked me the other day to write one for him, which I thought was really beautiful. And it led us into a conversation of, why do we wait to say all these things until the person is gone? So that's my next big challenge, is writing a eulogy for my still living dad.
Well, I think what you just said is a really important consideration for all of us, is that because the living is dying, we're all going to die, and sometimes, and death is indiscriminate. It doesn't care how old you are, what your socioeconomic or your health status is. It will come for you, ready or not. So to be able to have some input into how you want to be remembered. And also, like you said, it's a little bit of self-discovery to be able to write your own eulogy, right? If you're not here tomorrow, how do you want people to think about you?
Exactly. Well, actually, I was talking to another phenologist, I believe, a social worker anyways, where she was talking to a man who was struggling with addiction. And every year, his commitment to himself was to write a eulogy for himself. Unrelated to what I'm doing here, but it's just a way of being aligned and in tune with where he's going, which I thought was pretty powerful too.
So for people who have never written a eulogy before, what are some of the constructs? Like, what should we be thinking about if we're going to write our own eulogy? Like a beginning, middle, and end? Like, how can people just start to think about outlining it?
Well, and that's the tricky part, I think, for most people, is because we're not speech writers. And that's why Treulogy really does take it off of your plate. You're tasked with just providing the information, all of the stories and the good stuff, the stuff that the AI can't write. And then AI takes over and turns all of those stories, even if it's just she hummed when she was folding laundry, and puts it into this beautiful, epic, almost Hollywood tale of who this person was. Um, I just think it's the most lovely way to honor someone.
And to be able to take that information and then it becomes a memorialization for them. I know some people when during the funeral they'll actually record or telecast a funeral, so then it becomes an actual digital asset that can be live on forever.
Yes, that you can go back and add to. I really hope people do that with Treulogy. It doesn't have to end once the eulogy is delivered, because there's also this time after someone has passed where all these memories come flooding back and they don't have a place to go or to live. So put them into Treulogy, and then after a year for an anniversary, write another one. There's
So I'm curious, your father asked you to write it and not him. So I'm curious about that. Why would your, yeah, right? Let's open up that can of worms. Why would
okay.
your,
Yeah,
yeah, why would your dad want you to write it? And is he of sound mind?
very much so. Yeah,
Mm,
he's
How old
doing
is he?
well at 80. Sorry.
Oh, okay. So he's young. To me, 80 is young. So he is, or young enough, I should say, if he's in good sound mind and health. So, yeah. Was it a weird thing for him to ask you or for himself?
It actually came up as part of a beautiful conversation. I mean, obviously, in creating this, we've had lots of conversations, but they were sharing stories about how their friends are starting to go and the different things that families are doing. And one of their family friends, he he knew he was dying. He had cancer, so they did a living tribute to him. So he got to hear all the beautiful things that were said about him. And then that's what kind of sparked my dad to say that. He's like, why wait until I'm dead? I
So
want to know the
trilogy isn't
beautiful.
just about like at a funeral. You could really, like you said, celebrate someone's life while they're still alive.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then they can feedback and contribute, or, yeah, because really the things that get left behind are the stories. Um, those are, I think, the most meaningful things that get left behind.
And the stories that some like your father might remember, you might be remembering other ones that he might have forgotten already. Or
Absolutely.
the stories I hear is that I made an impression or an impact on somebody's life that I didn't realize until much later on. That they remembered an event that was like a blip in my mind, but in their mind it was like a cornerstone. It really like impacted or changed the direction of their mindset or their life decisions. So to be able to hear how your dad impacted other people's lives might be a wonderful opportunity while he's still around.
Absolutely. Yeah, because I think we perceive things differently than um, from the outside than looking in, instead of, yeah, I'm kind of getting my thought mixed up in that. But what we see isn't necessarily from the outside, isn't necessarily what happens from the inside.
Oh,
Yeah.
the way I say it is what I perceive and how I convey might be very, right. What I think I'm saying and how people actually perceive it might be very different, right? And to know that you've made a positive impact on somebody's life, or they have like a funny event that decades later they're still giggling about because it just brings
Exactly.
a moment of laughter.
Well, one of the ones that came up, my husband Mark did one for his father after he had passed away. And going through the questions, Mark said that it really sparked memories that he hadn't thought about in years. And one of the stories that came out of that is he bought a rototiller for a garden that he never had. So, yeah, this big, crazy rototiller. And it was more, I think, about the things that he wanted to create in life. And I think those are the true gold in our stories, is maybe not the the perfect moments that we stop and take pictures of, but the things that make us truly human, like buying a rototiller. My dad, I don't know if I have permission to share this story, but he did the same thing. He bought oars for a boat that he didn't own.
That's hysterical.
Yeah.
So where are the oars now?
I think they eventually got sold in a garage sale after
But
being
the
carted
things we
around for
do in
like
life.
50
I
years.
love this. I love this concept of just writing our eulogy while we're still alive. Or
Mhm.
so as your dad asked you to do this, are you going to
I'm a crier. I'm sorry.
oh no, I'm like so take a moment. Well, so are the tears coming? You're having a moment, so I feel like I want to honor your moment of tearfulness.
Aw.
Um, are your tears about the your dad and the oars, or just the fact that there was
Okay, this is going to sound really sappy, but I really just love humanity and life and these what we create. And yeah, I love that Trilogy just steps into that one perfect moment where there isn't the frustrations or challenges that we all deal with people. It's just remembering the truly beautiful things about them.
oh, I love that. You're
Yeah.
gonna get me to cry now too.
Oh, good. It's contagious.
And I'll tell you why this hits hard is, we're in this age of AI right now,
Mm,
and we are really questioning what does it mean to be human.
yes, very much so.
And even on your platform, and you could talk about how you use AI in order to format a eulogy. The stories are real,
Absolutely.
and right, the stories are real and obviously emotional. The fact that you became tearful over rowboat oars, I could just
Dad and his oars.
that is oars. That just might end up being the theme of a lifelong eulogy. Um, and AI can't create that. It can't
No.
memorialize that.
Well, and what I think is really beautiful about Trilogy too is it's the marriage of the two. So AI can write a eulogy, but they tend to be robotic and there's no heart to them unless you feed them the human stories. So without humans, AI can't do the work. And without AI, it makes it a lot harder for the humans because I've never in my life wanted to be a speechwriter, but I want to give my dad this truly amazing epic story as a way of honoring and celebrating his life.
I feel like I want to pass some tissues over to you, like,
I'm
through
like,
the
darn, I
screen.
wish I would have put one
You need a
closer.
minute?
I'll be okay. As long as you're okay with me crying.
Like I said, it just pulls at my heartstrings because, like I said, this is, you know, I just to have look. My parents died of it. These are my parents behind me, right? My father was 42. My mother was 50 when they passed away of cancer, 10 years apart. And I'm trying to think if I remember. I mean, so I was 11 when my dad died. I vaguely remember, but I don't have copies of what people said at his eulogy. At his funeral. I don't have those copies. I mean, it was back in 1979. And then my mother passed away when I was 21, and I'm like trying to think, and I don't think I wouldn't even have copies of it. I know people wrote heartfelt letters afterwards.
Yeah.
Um, and if they had died today, I probably would want to read those letters during the ceremony. More importantly, like you said, it's being able to memorialize them, like your dad, like while they're still alive, and coming to share those memories beforehand.
Well, and I think in a situation like yours too, with your dad dying at 11, you only had a small window of time that you were conscious of him as a person. So you wouldn't have had those times to collect all of the memories. Whereas I know years ago when my grandma passed away, all the family, and it's a big family, we got together in a living room, and one of my cousins took notes, and we all just shared stories. And that's what I hope Treulogy can be for families as well too. You just come together, and if you can't think of a story, ask a question, and then that keeps the conversation going. And some of them you won't even ever need to include in the eulogy, or maybe it's something that you don't want to. You do have a chance to go through the process and edit out the things that maybe don't fit or you don't want. But I think that's where the true gold comes from, is just sitting back with those memories and letting them come. And yeah,
No, and
if you
now that
can
you're
share it with
saying it,
other people.
I wish I did have that, that I, what did people think of my parents,
Mm.
at their passing? Like, not to have that. I'm just, as a child and a young adult, grasping at like, oh, what did people really think of my dad or my mom, and how they made an impact in their lives. And through the decades, I've gotten bits and pieces of it, but I don't have it consolidated in one public, announcement or shared story. So with Treulogy, is the idea is that like your dad asked you to write his eulogy, but are you going to be collaborating with other people on the platform?
I would probably, especially for my dad, I'll start with my own, and then I'll have some conversations with my sister, and talk about her memories as well too, so she can contribute, because she she remembers things differently than I did, even though we grew up in the same household together.
No.
Different personalities and different people.
Sasha, that's like a key, that what you just said there is like a key acknowledgement, to all families. Is I'm one of four children, so yes, the fact that we had the same parents in the same household, the upbringing could be very different, and perspectives, right? I mean, how many family members might have a positive experience and others might not have such a positive experience, and how do you intertwine those moments to give the true essence of somebody's life well lived?
Absolutely. And that's the beautiful thing about being able to collaborate. And everyone just gets to tell their story, and then it'll probably get written in, at least in some aspect of it. But at least everyone feels heard and feels like they contributed. And I think that's one of the most loving things that you can do for someone, is
So
truly
how
honor who
does
they
your
were.
sister know that your dad asked you to write a eulogy?
You know what? I don't think she does yet. Surprise. I'll drop
But
that one on her.
how do you think she'll feel?
um, she's pretty good at talking about the emotional stuff. She's she is a widow herself, so
Mm.
sometimes I think those conversations are a little bit more challenging for her. But yeah.
You bring up another good point, and I find that when I talk to founders in the death tech space, we're made up of a DNA that allows us to feel comfortable talking about this taboo topic of death and dying and all this. Even just to go to your father and ask him, "Hey, Dad, you're alive and well and happy, but how about you write your eulogy or start writing it?" So, what do you think it is for you to make you feel so comfortable about talking about this topic?
Well, I think because at the heart of it, it's truly about the love you feel for someone. And I think a lot of people, especially who aren't in the death space, have a hard time talking about it, because it's this big ball of emotions that we don't know what to do with or where to put it. And for most people, you don't talk about death every day. So it's this emotion and fear and loss all tied up into one. And I think that's what makes it difficult. So especially if you're proactive enough for doing something like Endeavo or trying Treulogy before they are passed away, the reward is you don't have to be so fearful of what's out there.
There's two lessons I learned working in hospice. One is um, don't die with any regrets,
Mhm.
right? And I can think some maybe doing a eulogy is that goodbye letter, to to make sure that everything's buttoned up, that people understand where you were coming from through the hardships as well as the joy. And then the other lesson in hospice is peace of mind.
Mm.
The only thing that is most important at our last breath is having that peace of mind and to be able to make sure that you put those words in a public display that you can go peacefully, whether by choice or by force, right? Whether it's,
Happens to the best of us.
whether, that's part of being human is we're going to go. But to have those two pieces are, I would say, the only
Mm.
things in life that we really, from our personal um, management of ourselves, is making sure that we don't die with any regret. And then we
Mm.
can die with a peace of mind, knowing that we're leaving our loved ones, you know, our stories of what we thought of our lives.
Mm. And
And
what
with
an
that, it's,
incredible,
please.
sorry, what an incredible gift to know that you mattered to someone. That
And
your
sometimes
story
people,
was.
the stories, how that,
Yeah,
how that story impacted your life.
exactly. Yeah. We
Beautiful.
actually had a beautiful moment when Mark's grandma passed away. She was 102. Yeah. In the hospital. And she was, we went to go and visit her, and she was still mostly with it. Like she started saying the same conversation, same story a couple of times over again. But just on a whim, I recorded it. What a beautiful memory to have. Her just telling the stories of her and her little dog that she had when she was a kid back in Hungary. Yeah.
So just with the few minutes we have left here, can you tell us how does Eulogy work? People would sign on how many questions do they usually ask themselves?
Yeah, so you go to the website, Treulogy.com, and it's eulogy is spelt right. So it's Treulogy. So go to Treulogy.com, you sign up. It's a $39 charge for 3 tributes, and you get unlimited eulogies off of that. So you share your stories, you go through the questions. Like I said, they're sorted in order. So if you can answer kind of the first 5 on each page, great. If you want to dive deeper into a subject, so there's things, if they had children, there's a segment on children and what they were like as a parent, or if they were married, there's a spot where you can tell things about how they met, where their first date was, all those story prompts too. But you read through, find things that you want to answer about them, and then you have a chance to review everything that you've submitted, unselect things that you maybe have changed your mind on, and then you hit the write button, and it writes. You sit there for about 30 seconds while it writes, and then you come up with this beautiful story. You can take it and edit it yourself if there's things that you want to change. If you want to do another one for comparison, you can do up to 10 a day. So you just keep hitting the right button until you find something that you love.
It just keeps iterating for you.
Yep. You can tell it, make it shorter, longer. Here's a funny story. I was doing some testing on the website the other day, and I wanted to make sure that the rewrite instructions were coming through clearly. So I said, write it from the perspective of being a pirate.
And what made you
So,
decide on that kind of character?
no, but it was fun. How to take a stressful situation and make it a little bit fun. So write a pirate eulogy.
That is hysterical. I can see
Yeah.
that. I can see where somebody who has a sense of humor writes a very either characteristic or out of character eulogy as well.
Exactly. Well, and there's also that opportunity to customize it too for, I ask questions about who will be delivering the eulogy. Like, are they an experienced speaker? What was their relationship to them? Um, can they deliver a line? Like some people, are they going to be nervous when they get up there? Or are they going to microphone in hand and tell this
Yeah, that's
story? So, yeah.
well, Sasha, this was an amazing opportunity. I'm so glad that we had a chance to connect and share a moment, tearful moment, if that, knowing that, the stories are important and we want to make sure that they're captured. And I do believe that there's an importance of a public announcement, um, but also encouraging people to start having the conversations earlier than waiting until
Absolutely.
after their death. And with that, let me ask you if there is just a couple things that people can do today to start and get ready for tomorrow. What are your recommendations?
Well, start having those conversations. Give yourself a moment to um, get those answers. If you're lucky enough to still be able to talk to them, make use of that time and ask them about their childhood or um, the things that they loved doing when they were young or how they want to be remembered. These are great conversations to have with people and give you truly beautiful moments. If you have that opportunity, take advantage of it.
And with that, thank you so much for joining me today. And the best place for people to find you, we talked about Treulogy.com. Is it .com?
Yes, Treulogy.com. And all of the social medias, I am everywhere.
And with
Yeah,
that,
and
thank
I'm
you so
always
much.
happy to hear from customers or questions or, yeah.
Re- And reach out to Sasha directly. And we'll end our call
Yeah.
here. Thank you so
And
much. Appreciate your
thank
time.
you so much, Niki, for having me on. This is truly, it's been a lot of fun and it's been a
A
great
lot
honor.
of fun.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Digital Legacy Podcast, where we talk about death and dying in the digital age. I hope this conversation inspired you to take control and plan for the inevitable to protect yourself and those you leave behind. Don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter at digitallegacypodcast.com. Remember, life is full of surprises. What happens after you die shouldn't be. So keep your passwords safe and your playbook up to date.